Welcome to the Sales Unscripted podcast. You guys, we are back in a new year, 2023. I am one of your co-hosts, Margaret Henney.
Brian Neal here, other
and
co-host.
We are excited to be back in, not the studio, well, yeah, the studio. But
It looks like we're in kind of a bunker.
It looks-
I'm going to be honest. Doesn't it look like we're hiding? You know, you see this like in
It
war
does.
times, which I hate that for war people, but they go in secret places.
Exactly.
Like our
We
country's
are
under
recording
siege,
from a secret
and we're recording from a
location.
secret location. It looks like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't it a little bit kind of like homemade? Like, I wonder where they are. Well, we're in our new studio. The problem is the new studio isn't built yet. I told Margaret to show her today. I said, I want you to see the new studio, but it looks like a bit of a dump truck. And it does. There's like trash around and stuff.
It's totally
And
fine.
It's a construction area.
I'm
Think of it
also
that way.
looking at an empty bottle of alcohol right over
That's been
there.
on the. You know what that is?
What?
That you don't know what that is? That's Skull vodka. Do you know anything about Skull vodka?
I am so sad to say that I do.
Oh, you do know about Skull vodka?
Are you?
Do you know who owns it?
How do you skull like SKULL or
Yeah,
skull like
No,
SKOOL? That like really
No,
crappy.
Skull. No. Skull. SKU.
Okay, then I don't know about fancy skull
It is
vodka.
from
Eileen.
Canada. Do you know who owns it?
No.
Dan Aykroyd.
Stop!
Dan
I love
Aykroyd
Dan Aykroyd.
owns Skull vodka.
Is he
And-
Canadian?
Yeah, yeah. Dan Aykroyd.
Didn't
yeah.
know that.
And it is so good. It is so good. That's an empty bottle of Skull vodka.
I see.
Not
that.
cheap, but it is empty. Yes. Which means someone drank it.
Exactly.
And it's on my shelf.
That's
so go figure. No, I'm
funny.
kidding.
But
So
the studio is going to be great.
it's going to be awesome. We have a new set, new studio being built by professionals, which will be awesome. Next step in the Sales Unscripted podcast journey as we're on after year one. What a great first year we had.
I
This little
know.
podcast thing isn't it great?
It was one of my highlights of 2023,
really? Good
which
for
is
you.
I know that and
And
I'm engaged!
Somebody's getting married. Go to the
Hey,
chapel
hey,
and we're
just
gonna
under
get
40.
married.
I made it
Snuck
right under
in
the
there.
wire.
I'm so happy for you. I intentionally.
you.
So Margaret told us kind of right when it happened, and I intentionally didn't respond. I get real giddy about stuff like that because
Yeah.
I don't want to know the story. I want to tell you congratulations in person. So
you.
now, as you know, Cliff Notes, Twitter. Not that it's not important, but I want you to tell the story of how you got engaged.
Okay, I will. It's
Please.
because it is kind of funny. I feel
so fun.
so bad for my fiance.
Why?
I love saying fiance.
He's
now,
your
Derek.
fiance. He's not
my
your
fiance.
boyfriend anymore.
I know.
Do you feel older and more mature now? Be honest.
Totally. Okay.
Isn't it weird?
This
It's
is
weird, isn't
very
it?
strange because you know how sometimes you have like a birthday and your mom used to be like, "Do you feel 12?" or like whatever,
Right.
and you were like, "No, I feel exactly the same." I like woke up and I was like, "I feel different.
You do.
I feel different.
You do, don't
I
you?
don't know why. I just felt different." Which was really very crazy for me, especially
so
after
awesome.
being single for 38 years. So here's why I feel bad for Derek. He had this planned where he was
Awesome.
like getting ready to propose right before we went up to my family's for Christmas.
Okay.
Do you guys remember that huge snowstorm?
Oh yes.
Like really cold snap
Oh,
in
yes.
the Midwest, East Coast, like all that sort of thing that was
Yes.
wild. Well, he was having like the ring was being delivered to the house.
Oh no.
And I was like, honey, we got to get on the road like 2
no.
days earlier because it's like the weather's going to be bad, like whatever. And he was like, please don't do this. He was like,
Oh, no.
yeah, and he was like, no, please, like, let's just wait. Like, I've got something that's coming. It's your Christmas present. I am not even thinking. I was like, who cares? Give me my Christmas present after Christmas. Who cares? Like, and
That's the best.
And I was
That you
just
were-
like
you did.
insistent because I was like, you're from
understand.
California. You don't know how bad it can be. The roads are going to be terrible. Like, we got to get there. And I just couldn't understand why he was being such a turd about it. Now I know. And so but like, bless him. This is why he's so incredible and he's really good for me. Cause
Yes.
like, I can be a little bit high strung.
Yeah.
Like
Just
surprise.
Just a little.
And I like want things to go a certain way. He rolls with the punches.
Yes.
I mean, he's just kind of
Yes.
like, whatever, we'll figure it out. I would have been a mess. He was fine.
Yeah.
But the ring did deliver and we had to have our neighbors go pick it up. He was like on our front porch.
Really?
And because like,
Oh.
it was my bad. It was my bad because like the FedEx guy came. You're supposed to sign for it, of course.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, hello, Mr. FedEx man," from like our ring.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, "Oh, hey, I know we're supposed to sign for that, but like, can you just leave it on the porch?" And he was like, "Yeah,
no.
as long as I made contact, I can." Leaves it on the porch. And I was like, "Hey, babe, you know that package you were worried about? Don't worry about it. It's on the front porch."
Good.
And he goes, "What?" And so we called our neighbors, and of course I didn't know. I was like, I'll have Becky and David pick it up. It's fine.
Becky and David.
Becky and David came through.
Such a great neighbor name.
So, oh
Becky
my
and
God,
David.
best neighbors ever,
That's awesome.
actually. So anyway, long story. They pick it up. We get back. It's between Christmas and New Year's, and we're a very he especially, he's an introvert, and I'm glad that we did this. He just proposed at home in front of the fireplace, and it was like
that is phenomenal.
it was really beautiful.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
that
was
is
great.
just
So,
awesome in front of
thank
your
you.
your house,
in
with
the
your
new house, our
cozy
new house
fireplace. Look at your life just going.
And we had like our Christmas tree up, and it was just
God.
us. It was really special, and then we went out and celebrated afterwards,
So
and
awesome.
it was really, really great.
That is bravo, bravo. Did you
2023,
cry?
big year. I did cry, but I was also like, I kept being like, is this happening?
Right.
Like I was very much like feeling like kind of out of body experience, you know?
yes.
So it was like a little bit weird for me to finally get my footing. I'm back though.
You got
now.
it.
Yeah.
You're very glowy.
Thanks.
Margaret, you'll see this in the video, but Margaret's very glowy. I know it's
Aw.
an audio show, but I'm so happy for you two. They're such a fun, cute couple, and
Thank
it's just
you.
awesome.
I
And it's
appreciate
fun as you get older to watch people experience love and marriage in that next step of life. It's really, really awesome. And you do that. Fiance is a thing.
It's
isn't
different.
it? It's just different. It
Feels
just
different.
really is. I would agree with you. The one time, or two times in my case, that I went from boyfriend to fiance.
Yeah.
You do feel a little older. The second time I felt less weird. 'Cause
Yeah.
To be a
You've done it before.
48-year-old man saying this is my girlfriend. That's
Yeah.
a whole different deal. But but you do. But then you're like fiance and wife and husband and stuff. It's really great.
I feel like I'm part of a team.
It's just awesome. It does. You just think that you're together.
We're on the team now.
I know a lot of people choose these days to stay just partners.
Totally
fine. Good.
Totally fine.
There's something about it, isn't there?
know.
There just is that just changes the dynamic.
Yep.
I really think there is. Well, I'm so happy for you two. And do you have?
you.
I know you're all the same questions, but the planning.
None
None
at all.
None. Just
no,
gonna chill for a while
I'm
and
trying to
figure
just
things
like
out. Love it.
really enjoy it and all
Yeah.
that. And I'm not really much of a planner, to be
Oh.
perfectly honest, when it comes to like that sort of thing. So
Got it.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You'll
and
figure it out.
It'll be great. But
Well, so happy for you.
thank you.
Bravo. What a great year.
I know we
New
got a lot to do.
podcast. Got engaged.
Bought a house. Big year.
That's a big year.
I know.
Margaret.
2022.
Bravo.
I liked it.
All right, so we got lots of fun stuff coming this year.
Yes.
One of the things we're going to start with is you start a podcast, and you
Yeah.
put podcasts out, and no one really knows about it. And listen, well, then all of a sudden people actually start to listen. Then after they start to
Right.
listen, they start to engage with you. So we have listeners that actually engage with us.
I love it.
Even though some of them are spouses and boyfriends and fiancés.
Totally
I can't
fine.
say boyfriend anymore.
No,
See?
this is my
It's not
fiance. This is my
fiancés.
fiance.
So we got several requests for topics. So we're going to pull one of
did.
those from LinkedIn.
We
correct?
put out a little like call,
We
which
did.
by the way, you can go back to it. It's on BZ's page. So if you're not
Yeah.
already following BZ, first of all, follow them.
Yeah, thank you.
But then we are like, hey, we're taking requests, baby. Whatever you guys want to talk
Yeah.
about. And we got some really good ones. We will address more of these at some time.
Yeah.
But Anthony B from Gong.
Mostly because
had-
we don't have your permission to use your last name.
we don't have permission to use your last name, so we're calling you Anthony B. Shout out Anthony
But
B from Gong. And
one of
he's
our
an
faves.
Indianapolis
We love-
person
we love-
too.
and he's got his own podcast.
Oh,
and he's
see?
an awesome dude.
Podcast friends.
Awesome dude.
I love it.
Yes.
So
and Gong's an awesome place. We love
yes.
Gong too. So
yes, so much love.
asked a really great question here.
So
we're gonna talk
he
about this.
said, he was so sweet too. He says, love this and y'all. It would be great to hear about some tips on selling in a downturn economy and ways to deal with we don't have the budget.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to hear a lot about that.
We are, and we're going to talk, and we've talked a little bit about the downturn economy.
We
We
have.
might hit that for a second, but this budget thing is a thing. And before we started, because we do like hours and hours of prep for Sales Unscripted, don't we, Margaret? Hours and hours.
At first I was like nodding my head, and then I started listening, and then I was like, wait, no, we don't. We don't do
Gave
none
Margaret
at all.
a tour of the new space, and then got her saw her engagement ring, and then say about that real quick. Just
Okay. So this is
engagement.
funny.
Yeah.
For, the ring that Derek got me was too big in the sense that it was like coming off my fingers.
Yes.
So we had to send it back until we get another one. So in the meantime, I'm wearing my grandmother's
So
old
sweet.
wedding ring, which
close your
I
knuckles 'cause your nails-
I know my nails look terrible. My nails look this is terrible.
You know who else has her nails look like that all the time?
Who?
Taylor Swift.
See, and she's
Taylor
fine.
Swift. Oh, she doesn't care. She's like you.
Good,
She
me
just
too.
Owns her own shit. It's
There's
awesome.
a reason
love it.
I don't paint my
love it.
nails is because they
That's
always
great.
end up looking like somebody gnawed on them.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't even me. They just look like that.
But that's great. It's your grandma's ring.
my
That's
grandmother's
really
ring.
special.
Yeah,
really
I love
special.
it.
So we're going to talk about downturn economy stuff, but mostly we're going to talk about like I said,
Don't
in
have
the
the
prep,
budget.
that this is actually, in all my years of working with salespeople, and I'm sure Margaret, you can attest to this is a leading indicator of slowing economy. So what happens usually is people don't start to say just no instantly. They start to say, is it less? Can I have it for cheaper? Or we're going to cut back. If you're a company that has renewal people, like Co-Video has renewals, they start to maybe diminish. People get let go, so they don't need as many seats if they're a software company. So let's talk about the that economics and that we don't have budget. We even analyzed when we did a little analysis on our closed loss deals. We had two things were tippy top. One was don't see the value, and the other was budget was down the list a little bit. But you may go first. And
Yeah, you go first. Yeah.
So this to me is we overdo this one. We try to overcome the budget with value. That's like old and cliche. So we say, well, I don't have the budget. Well, but it does this and that, and you get better response and da-da-da-da. This should just be all value and budget and everything. We call it, the word we use is economics, as you know, is just a collaborative, out loud story problem in math class. That's all it is. We give it so much work. We just need to work out together the math on the theme. And that's, you. If you try to overdo and say, I'm going to combat money with value or a feature or a benefit thing or some occurrence or something, that's fine. But at some point, the money's all got to come together, and you just need to work it out together. So when people say, I don't have budget, I always wonder what do they mean by that? What do you mean? So do you have a budget, no budget? Budget's limiting. I have a great phrase. This is one of my favorite phrases. A guy I used to work for, his name's Dave Catalano. Awesome dude. He was the CEO of our company. I was the national sales manager. So I got to be in a lot of scenarios with Dave while people were selling to us.
Okay.
We were the buyers.
Yep.
And salespeople always, especially the good ones, would want to talk about the money. And they'd ask the budget question. And Dave's response was always the same. And Dave said, I've got an unlimited budget for shit that works.
Ooh.
I've got an unlimited budget for shit that works. Because that's how it should be, shouldn't it? That's how it should be.
Yes.
So if I have, if I need to get if I'm a salesperson prospecting and I need to get emails open, because I know for every 5 extra emails, I get 2 deals, then I need to spend money with Co-Video until that trails off and flattens out. I just do, because the math works if I know my math.
Interesting.
And if it doesn't, then Co-Video shouldn't want to do the deal because it's a bad economic deal.
Exactly. Right? Well, and like here's, this might be an obvious thing too though, right? Like when we hear this, I don't know about you. I have been in some different sales roles before, some where I really love and respect the people around me, and others where I'm like, ugh. Like did you ever hear the phrase buyers are liars?
Oh God. Yes.
Did you ever hear that?
Of course.
People would say this all the time, and they were convinced, and they would convince themselves that every buyer was lying to them, lying about budget, lying about mostly, I would say probably budget, like what they're willing to pay, what they could put towards it, like whatever. And I was like, what if we just assumed people weren't always lying to us?
You think?
Crazy.
What a great idea.
And took them at their word and had a little compassion, especially right now where we say, like, first of all, like empathy, like I understand that. Like, tell me about what is going on with your budget right now. I'd be curious to ask, like, okay, if people are making cuts, why and where, and what are you trying to gain from that sort of thing too, right? Because some people might be like, hey, we're cutting budgets in XYZ places. Maybe it's personnel, but we're investing more in tools, or maybe vice versa. I don't know, but just getting curious about why, not just why, but how they're addressing those budget cuts too, so you can get down to the bottom of it and help them think a little bit more strategically about it too. Because I know certainly like, people who are kind of middle management, you'll hear like, we're cutting the budget, and you're sort of like, well, okay, great. Or, or like it is what it is, but you're not really asking a lot of questions about it. So I would also just ask some questions with them about it.
I love that. Cause it's like, well, we don't have budget again. Like, what do you mean you don't have a budget, any budget? So then why would someone talk to me
that's
about
what
that
I was gonna
with
say.
no budget? Like, what's the point?
Bing,
Unless
bing,
they're
bing,
trying to
bing.
like waste their own time.
Like why would we have the conversation
in the first place, right?
If so, the next time. So that also is like an indicator for me that potentially there are other questions that haven't been answered or
Bravo.
like concerns,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
If we've already had a couple conversations and we've continued, and then all of a sudden they're like, I don't have a budget. And I'm like, I wonder, because sometimes this is something that I used to do too, maybe, where I hate conflict.
Yes.
And so it's budget is something that feels a little bit more like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't even necessarily want to dig into it. This is something that I feel like will shut you up, that you can't argue with. And so maybe dig a little bit deeper too. Not saying like, hey, maybe that's the case, maybe it's not, but like, I wonder if there's some questions that like are concerns that we haven't addressed yet, right?
Yes.
What do you think? Am I off base here?
No, not at all. Because you need to figure out, first of all, is that some excuse?
Not saying that they're lying to you.
No, but or it's like that's easy, or is there something else? And then is it no budget or not enough budget, or I'm not seeing, because when they say I'm not seeing the value in it, is that what they really mean? Because it should be math. It shouldn't be value. It should say, if I've got 5 salespeople and we think we can get a lift of a 5% increase, average deal size is 50 grand, 5, so that's 5, so it's 2,500 times 5 is $10,000, whatever it is, a month. I can get a lift on that, and I'm going to pay Blind Zebra $5,000. You do that all day,
right?
If you think you can get a 5% lift across, you do it all day. You'd spend 5 to get 10 all day long. What salespeople don't do is they don't do the math all the way out. They do, and Gong will tell you this. Don't do ROI calculators. They will tell you not to do this. Do ROI in story form. Stories are always better. So you just tell the story. The customer will fill in the ROI on in their own world.
Okay.
And so I've got, several stories. I got individual stories of salespeople who came. Were making $40,000. We installed some tools. They work. 3 years later, they're at 120 or 180 or 200. And if you talk to them, that's their deal. People can do their own math in the middle. Same with companies that you say revenue started here, we're here now. That what we've done to get there is just install these tools and these processes, and then coach the team, gone all in. That's the deal.
Yeah.
They'll fill in the blanks. Go, shit, I want that.
That's one of my favorites, because I always say like facts tell, but stories sell.
Yeah.
And even though facts are going to be a part of it, right? Stats or whatever. That's great. But when it comes down to it, always buying is an emotional decision.
Yes.
No matter what, we can't remove that part of it. And so
Right.
the stories are a great way to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? So,
Yes. There is another miss, I think, here that salespeople, the thing that salespeople miss is how I should say that. You should, I gave the example earlier, you as a sales professional with good integrity around that should not want a customer to get into a bad economic deal.
That's true.
We actually have an open opportunity right now from someone on our team. And when I heard about what we were talking on our side of the economics, and I heard where their revenues are as someone that owns a business, I'm like, I don't know that they should be spending that kind of money with us relative to the percentage of their revenues and that sort of thing, unless they have private equity coming in somewhere, which I think they do. I don't know for sure. I not validated this, but we think they do. We were trying to validate that today. If they have private equity money, that makes more sense to me. But based on revenue percentage of what it would cost us to put together this big playbook for them, I'm like, I don't think it's a good time to spend that kind of money.
Yeah, that's
really
great. That's great intent right there too.
Yeah.
And something else to piggyback on that just a little bit too is someone telling you, if kind of work the steps that we've talked about here, but like if you truly get down to it and they say that they don't have the budget or things aren't aligning, that's not a bad thing to know, especially like you want to get there quickly.
Yes.
If that is the case, right? Because, that is, we're going to hear a lot more of it, right? We can't fight through all of it because we know that there is truth to it.
Yes.
So get there faster and allow them to move on and allow you to move on.
Can I give you a little sample of that, a story? So we do, aside from doing the podcast, the SUP podcast, and we've got Blind Zebra, we do a keynote speaking too. Okay? Keynote speaking fees can be really thick. It's a great business.
Yeah.
Okay. So our keynote speaking fee when we go out of Indianapolis is $25,000 for a keynote speech. Is people like, good God, to talk for an hour? Well, you go basically for 2 days. So it's not as good as it sounds, but it's still great money. And it's $15,000 local. So sales call here yesterday that I overheard, about a 30-minute sales call, 22, 23 minutes in, they start talking economics. So we say the economics, not me, but one of our people. 25K out of town, 15K in town. Person on the other side goes, oh my God, I could maybe get 3,000.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. So now we go. So what we don't do is say, oh, yeah, but you can get so much with this. We could do that.
Right.
You're not trying like, okay, that's way far off. Our person did a brilliant job. Okay, we're way, way off.
Yeah.
We would call that unreasonable. That's that's the word we use. So now we're good intention. We try to flip to helping them. So we offer 2 solutions. So one solution is this happens. Companies will get some of their partners to sponsor the keynote speaker.
Yep.
So you could call some of your partners that you do business with that would sell to you, that you do a lot of business, and say, hey, we got this keynote, a little out of our budget. Would you kick in $4,000, $5,000? You can bring your people, whatever.
Yep.
There's a solve, right? The other one is, okay, you can't get Bryan for that, but we've got some friends in town.
That's great.
That are a different place, and we'd love to connect you with them. And we're not getting paid for that. We're not getting a kickback or anything. Just real.
Yep.
We're just trying to solve the problem with the math on the table.
Yep.
And that's what we're trying to do.
And there's no hard feelings
None.
either, right?
None.
Because it's
None.
like everyone is coming
None.
with honesty and integrity. And they were saying, hey, this is our budget. That's okay. It's not a bad thing to have
No.
a $3,000 budget.
It's awesome.
That's great.
You get a great speaker for $3,000.
Totally. But it
100%.
just, like you said, it was too far off where you guys were. So you're like, hey, it doesn't sound like we're going to be able to come into, an agreement on this. That's okay.
Yes.
I love that your salesperson provided other solutions.
Yes.
And, and also didn't make them be like, well, do you know what Bryan's worth? And
Right.
blah, blah,
Totally.
blah, blah, blah.
You win the Super Bowl and you get this and they're like, no, it's
Ew,
way
barf.
too far off.
Yeah.
Way too far.
So
now, if we're local at 15 and they're at 12, I'm like, okay.
We can
now
have a conversation.
Wiggle. Let's talk a little bit. Let's work a deal. You know what I mean? That's close.
Yep.
But the first one was it was too far apart.
Yeah.
And I love that you said it's no one's fault. It's not bad. They're not bad for having $3,000 and we're not, fools for going out at 15 and 25. It's just the math, where the math is.
And the thing is too, if you know your value, your own value or your product's value or whatever, and you feel really confident in that, which I hope that you do, there is no offending that can happen. You know what I mean? So even if same thing, right? Really someone's like, hey, our product costs $50,000 and they were like, oh my God, I think your product should cost $10,000, whatever. And you're like, oh, okay, well, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting that you think that. You don't have to be offended by that. It doesn't mean it. If you feel really confident in what you're doing, what you're providing, whatever, which again, I hope that you do, there's no offense there. None. It's just you're on different pages. Totally fine.
That's it. And you just move on and try to help them and whatever. And that's it.
Yeah.
There's something also every time you do that. So if we call it, in the speaking businesses, we call it this everywhere. Rate integrity. Rate integrity is a thing. Because if you go out at $25,000 to give a keynote or 15 local, and then do a favor for someone for $2,000, and that catches wind in the market, you get brought down. And so when you stay at your 15 or 25 and say no, it's really empowering for you.
Yep.
And it just moves on. It just says to the world, we're not budget. This is our number right now. And then over time, that number, goes from 15 to 25 to 30 to 50, and that's what you do.
Exactly.
It's all the same. Good stuff.
It's awesome. Great. Thank you for the question.
First
too,
one
guys.
back. Yeah. Anthony B. We love it. We'll have him come over. He'd be a great guest.
Ooh,
He's got
that's a good idea
too.
because that's something
In our
that
new
we're thinking
studio.
about doing more.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not going to say anymore.
When we get out of the bunker.
When we're thinking about, well, no, I'm going to say anymore.
Shelter. The bunker. Shelter. People are calling this a lair. The problem is it's on the tippy top of the building. A
on
lair is
top,
always in the bottom.
Always.
Fair.
Like a
Thank
den.
You.
100%.
Thank you for validating me.
Yeah, no.
Lairs and dens are in the basement. They're in the bottom in the ground.
And they're dark.
They are.
And it's
Thank
not
you.
dark either.
People keep saying you're going up to your lair. You don't go up to a lair. You go down to a lair.
I am
Thank
100%
you. I feel
on board with you.
Validated.
Good.
No one else is with us on that. We gotta flip the rest of the group over to that. So.
What should we call this then? The penthouse? No.
I've got a name already.
What is it?
It's a football name. I'm very proud of it.
Oh wait, actually, they told me downstairs. It's called the Press Box.
It's the Press Box.
Let's go.
It's kind of cool, actually. The Press
like
Box
it.
is football oriented.
I think it's cool.
Okay, that's it. Find us on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
We'll put some more posts up. Look for Margaret's feed, my feed for questions for the SUP podcast. We've got some great stuff in store for 23. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.